Hello and welcome to Trader Chat. Johnny Ward dressed normally, as you can see. Flynn Goward, not so much. He's ready for Royal Ascot, which starts next week, unbelievably. And we're going to reflect on the Oaks and the Derby, talk about the Star Sports Greyhound Derby as well. We're at the quarter-final stage, and maybe a little bit of football as well, despite the fact that Ireland lost to Armenia on Saturday. Flynn, you look well.
I don't feel that great, actually. The little one's not sleeping too well, so I feel tired, but I thought I could stick this hat on and I can pretend that we're already at Royal Ascot and getting a good frame of mind for Trader Chat. So very excited for next week. Obviously, firstly, we probably have to talk about the Derby and the Oaks from last week, because we stood at the track and some very good performances.
Let's go back to the Oaks. I had a couple of bets in the race. I backed Joseph O'Brien's horse, who ended up finishing sixth, didn't run that badly, was a big enough price, that's fair enough. But I also backed Emily Upjohn. Now, this just, how does this not win? How does this not win? And how much of a relief was this for Star Sports, even though I think she was quite weak in the betting actually at the off?
It didn't really move a huge amount, to be honest. She was tough to lay on course, albeit being the only loser in the book, but she was still fairly tough to lay. I thought that she was going to be very easy to lay. It was about a £300,000 swing for us between Tuesday and Emily Upjohn, obviously going in our favour with Tuesday. So it was the only loser in the anti-post book, was the only loser in the day of race book, Emily Upjohn. We saw more money in the office than we saw on course in terms of number of bets for Emily Upjohn in comparison to the other runners. Tuesday was a good winner despite the market support. I mean, she was very well backed. She was very solid, around 6-1, 13-2 chance for this race.
You just really lay her.
Yeah. Well, even being very exposed, she's obviously ran in both the Guineas and looked fairly ordinary. But this trip she brought out the best, and a fantastic ride from Ryan Moore. When people start detracting from Ryan Moore and start talking about William Buick and all this type of stuff, he just goes straight back into the limelight and starts riding these fantastic races. So fair play to Ryan Moore. He is on the very good horses, but he also produces the big rides when they're needed. The writing was just on the wall when Emily Upjohn came out of stalls. If she'd have come out of stalls normally, she obviously would have won this fairly handsomely, wouldn't she, Johnny?
Yeah, and in fairness, it was a nice ride by Frankie, I think, because considering how bad the start was, he was very, very patient, and he almost pulled it off to an absolute tee. And it's one of these frustrating ones where she's ahead before the line, she's ahead after the line. Now, as bad as she was at the break, the way that the field kind of steadied in a way helped her to kind of get into a position. But I think people who didn't back the Jolly in the Derby were thinking inexperience. That's why this is why Desert's Crown is going to get beaten. We'll see what happened yesterday. Emily Upjohn's had 2 starts. He might miss the break as well, and that's why this horse drifts from went out to 3s or so on the show and getting onto the Derby here. But I don't know. This was an unbelievable performance, I think, for a horse of his inexperience, for the way that he picked them up. Admittedly, we've been unlucky in running third. The way he picked them up was like, how is Nathaniel not producing more horses than this? Because between Enable and this, we haven't had this superstar. Now we've 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Just very, very quickly going back to Emily Upjohn and where she could go next. There's a chance that she could run at Royal Ascot next week. So we've seen a bit of money for her for the Ribblesdale. So there's every chance that because she's obviously not had that marquee win, that they want to strike while the iron's hot. And she is a bit of a buzzy filly, isn't she? So she could go off the boil at some point. So maybe they want to get her out in the Ribblesdale next week. With 13-8 will be rock bottom. Emily Upjohn.
It's a tricky one because she didn't have an easy race. Now let's be honest, she's no experience. Should have won the Oaks, but had to work very hard to get to where she got to. And then you're asking her to turn out again sort of a week and a half later. It's a big ask.
Yeah, but if there's one man that knows how to do it, I would imagine that John Cosden's going to know. So if she goes there, she could be a heavy odds-on chance. Sea Silk Road in that race, we've also seen money for a bigger price, around 20-1. That's now 100-30 Sea Silk Road. So it could be a very hot Ribblesdale. But onto the Derby, as you just said. Desert Crown, very, very easy to back. Couldn't lay it really at all on track. We were chasing it all the way out. Was very, very strong towards the start. Didn't really go above 9-4. We were flashing 5-2, back to 9-4, 5-2, 9-4. And then suddenly was just going out and out and out. And this was during the delay, because obviously we had the protesters on track. We had the crazy fireworks going off, which have obviously been very well talked about on Twitter and Racing Post and all that gear. But yeah, very, very easy to back. Saying that, what was our only loser anti-post? We had that few grand each, about 22-1. So Fair play to the punter for copping there. Very, very nice bet indeed. And was also the only loser in the day of race. But towards the end, when we pushed out to 11-4, we actually saw a fair bit of money. And then it was strong again. So went out to 11-4, 3-1, and then really strengthened up, went about 3.55 on the machine. So Desert Crown now 12-5 for the Arc. So 5-2 or around that for you traditional punters, or 12-5 if you are up with the time. So looks like it could be quite a hot up with the horse that came out and won the Prix de Jockey Club at the weekend. So for the Arc, you're looking at 12-5 Desert Crown, 13-2 Emily Upjohn, 13-2 Videni or Vidini, that's the one that won the French race of the weekend, then 15-2 Hurricane Lane, and 11-1 Bar. So could be a fairly hot Arc. What did you think of the Derby? Do you think it was an ordinary Derby, or do you think it was a good Derby, John?
I don't think the Irish horses were all that much to write home about. And you see, change of the guard made the running. He lost fourth position. The other O'Brien horses were disappointing. But I don't know. I'm prepared to think that this horse is a little bit extraordinary to produce that turn of foot. He settled that race, like as Simon Hull said in commentary. That race was over so quickly, and maybe he was in front a little bit long at that stage. But I thought, given his lack of experience, he's won his trial, fair enough. But his lack of experience for him to absolutely demolish the field like that, I think it would take a hell of a performance to beat him in the Arc as a 3-year-old getting the allowances, as long as he doesn't have an absolute shocker of a draw. If he comes into that race in any sort of form, I thought it was an extraordinary performance. I really did, and I didn't think it was a fluke at all. I think if the race were run at the Curragh, he'd bolt up. I totally believe that, and I thought it was great. So Michael Stout having a winner again. I mean, we just, he kind of gone off the boil in recent years. He's getting on in life. Had a lot of Ballydoyle, Coolmore domination, but I thought that was a genuinely extraordinary performance, and it was great to watch. And the downer for me was the race going off the same time as the Stole, and you've a clash. If you're watching it on TV, I mean, how does this happen from either track? I just thought that was absolutely mad for the Derby to clash with the Stole on TV. But anyway, that's by the by. I thought the race itself produced an incredible performance, and hopefully the signs are now that Luxembourg might be edging back into fitness as well, and maybe these two will clash at some stage down the line.
Yeah, possibly. I'd be more excited to see how Westover gets on with Clear Run. I'm not sure where he's going to go. Where he could go down the Ledger route, I would imagine. But
he looks all over a Ledger horse on that, because if you watch, as much as he's unlucky, it's more so he doesn't quite have the pace to get out of the situation he's in, whereas Desert Crown was just in complete cruise control. But I think as a Ledger prospect, absolutely.
Oh yeah, perfect. I mean, he's definitely the obvious horse to take out the race. We did run our Mind the Gap offer, so if you finished out of the places with your each way bet, but within 10 lengths of the winner, you got your place stake back. So if you back Masquilla in the race and changing of the guard, you cop there. So just wanted to highlight that for one of our offers. But talking about the horse derby, we probably want to go and talk about the Greyhound Derby now, Johnny.
We do. We're at quarterfinal stage in the Star Sports Greyhound Derby. It is hotting up, and you're closing in on the chance to meet Flynn and the lads in a Toaster of all places when they do run the Derby final. And just looking at the betting here, so we've obviously got prices for all the quarterfinals, and we've also got a lot of Derby specials as well to train the winner and so on and so forth. And the prices at the moment, Ballinabula Ed is into 7-4 now, and it's 6's bar. It's still a quarter of the odds, 4 places as well, with 24 dogs left in the race.
It is indeed. So just in terms of the book, in terms of dogs that we've got less that are still running, that are losers, Lataro would be our worst result. That is now into 6-1. Ballinabula Ed, it's in 7-4. That would also be a poor result. And then Kildare and Sing Along Sally, and then the field wins. So just judging by the prices of those, we've not got many chances. So the first 4 in the betting are all losers in the book. So we could do with a bit of a turn up for the books to actually cop some money and get some of the sponsorship money back. It looks a bit unlikely. We are in front on the pitch. We were miles behind after the first few days, but Lofty's managed to claw it back a little bit. So we're in a decent position in terms of the pitch. We just run one pitch throughout the heats and the semi-finals and quarterfinals, and then we run 3 on finals night. So it will be a busy night finals night, but we can't wait to get there on the 25th of June, the same day as the Irish Derby, where Neil will be in the Curragh for the Irish Derby and I will be at Toaster. So yeah, that's a dog derby. That is how the book looks, and we can't wait to get back on track.
Yeah, 4-9 Ballinabula Ed for the quarterfinals. So you can obviously look at your multiples there if you want to multiple them up. Just on the football front, as I mentioned, playing blow for Ireland, blow for England as well. Both Gareth Southgate and some Ireland apologists blaming the heat in Hungary and Armenia respectfully. But it wasn't a great weekend for our beloved nations in Ireland. We're recording this on Wednesday, rather. Ireland playing Ukraine tonight again. They need to bounce back in. But we've had some football developments. Obviously, a lot of speculation as well about where Sadio Mane is going to go. He's moved to Bayern and so on. So we're already edging into next season. But what is going on? And have we got some World Cup updates as well?
Yeah, so just have a look at the World Cup here. So England have been pushed out ever so slightly out to 6-1 for the World Cup after getting beat by Hungary and then drawing to Germany. Brazil are very, very strong favourites, and they're in there around 9-2. So Brazil would be fairly strong, as with France and England are there as third-ins. We've also got specials to make the England World Cup 2022 squad on site. So you've got goalkeepers in there, you've got defenders, midfielders, and attackers. Just trying to find some who would be on the fringes. Jarrett Bowen for attackers 10-11, Tammy Abraham 11-10, Marcus Rashford 13-8. That feels short. And then for midfielders, we're looking at some on the fringes here. Conor Gallagher, Smith Rowe would be the two interesting ones there. For defenders, you're probably looking at Tamori and Connor Cody. Ben White's in there at 2-on. So some interesting specials to get involved with. In terms of Mane, it's a funny one, isn't it? They offer 30 million quid today, and Liverpool said that they would accept that on no uncertain terms. So they were very disrespected by the offer and essentially said, come back with more or just don't come back at all.
Yeah, and that's I don't know, not the breakup of that Liverpool team, but it'll be fascinating to see how they get on without Mane. And you mentioned Marcus Rashford there, 13 days. I mean, and the form he's been in the last 6 months, you'd wonder where his career is going full stop. But it is interesting, Marcus. If you want to take a punt on one of these players, sort of going back to old form, or maybe getting Gareth Southgate on a favourable day, some interesting markets there. And yeah, we'll be counting down to the start of the Premier League soon, FLYNN.
We will indeed. As soon as it stops, it feels like it's starting again, the Premier League, doesn't it? So fixtures come out very soon, and then it's all systems go for that. Just before we finish up, I'm just going to talk a bit of golf quickly, and then we'll do some Royal Ascot movers.
What about this Saudi nonsense? Graham McDowell disgracing himself with his press conference yesterday.
Well, so the tournament is literally happening a 2-minute drive over there out my window. So it's happening in between St Albans and Leverstock Green, and my family live in Leverstock Green. So it's literally 2 minutes down the road. I've got some free tickets for Friday, so even though you don't believe in the regime and all that type of stuff, I'm still going to go.
You're as culpable as McDowell. You're in the similar boat of disgrace.
I'm not a politician, as all the golfers say. So, so I shall be going on Friday. But we have actually got the betting on site. It's quite an interesting betting league. The reason I want to talk about it is the fact that we're 5 places a quarter. So that is the same as Bet365, I believe. But every other firm is pretty much 5 places a fifth. So some decent value if you want to have a bet in the live or live golf event at the Centurion this week. Dustin Johnson heads your market at 5-1. Taylor Gooch there at 9-1. Usages is in there at 10s, Garcia 11, and then your 14 bar. One which I would just put up would be Charles Schwarzer, who's been hitting the ball very, very well on the PGA Tour, coming back to his former self when he actually won the Masters. He's in there at 28-1. I can't see how he should be bigger than players like Ian Poulter and Matt Jones and stuff like that. So Charles Schwarzer would be one to keep an eye on in that market. He started to putt really well since he's had the new putter. We've also got the Canadian Open. Well, I would imagine that Scotty Scheffler heads the market, but I will just get the market up very quickly. Yeah, so we're 7 places 50 here. Scotty Scheffler's 15-2. JT is 8-1. Rory McIlroy 8-1. Cammy Smith 11-1 and 14-1 bar. Loads of increase your odds and different specials going on for that golf tournament as well. So do check those out. And then just Royal Ascot quickly, just some quick horses that we've laid and anti-post and how they fare in the market. So Kyprios is strong at the front of the market in the Ascot Gold Cup. I think that's been backed into 5-2. We've laid a fair bit of freeze there. Quite an open Ascot Gold Cup compared to previous years, with Stradivarius and the like maybe not being the force that he once was. Golden Power's been well back for the King's Stand. Light Infantry at a big price, around 33-1 for the St James's Palace has been backed. Hurricane Lane is very strong at even money for the Hardwick. Homeless Songs is very strong at the head of the market for the Coronation Cup at around 6-4. She would be the horse that I'm most looking forward to next week. I thought she was devastating at the Curragh, and I can't wait to see her again.
And in fairness, the form gets boosted in the Oaks, regardless of it being a half mile longer. It obviously wasn't a bad horse she beat.
Oh yeah, exactly. And she just sprinted away from him. That turn of foot was unbelievable. So I can't wait to see her again. And Statuette in the Albany at 9-2 has been well backed as well. So those are just a few movers and shakers as we head to Royal Ascot next week. And I can't wait to put this hat back on as we're going to the track on Tuesday. Myself, Ben, Lofty, Simon will all be there. Hannah as well. So I'll be on the taps pitch, and Lofty, I would imagine, will be on the rails. So do come and say hello if you want to open an account. Come and see us, or obviously phone through the office.
Beautiful, yeah. I did a piece with Michael Callahan on the radio, bigging up Twilight Jet in the Commonwealth Cup during Royal Ascot as well at a decent price. So have a look out for that, and hopefully Flynn's Nipper is sleeping better, and Flynn by virtue is sleeping better next week, because it's a long week at Royal Ascot. Thanks very much for listening and watching Trader Chat. We got through the Oaks, the Derby, the Greyhound Derby, and a lot more, and we shall be back ahead of Royal Ascot next week.